The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The government fell short of the 9 million target jabs at the conclusion of its 3-day national vaccination drive. Only 7.6 million shots were administered across the country from November 29 to December 1. A majority of the vaccines were given as a first dose. Calabarzon, Central Luzon, and Central Visayas are the top performing regions. Meanwhile, Cavite, Laguna, and Cebu are the provinces that saw the highest vaccine turnout. The National Task Force has extended the vaccination drive until tomorrow, Friday. However, workers who will skip work to get vaccinated may already be marked as absent.
3 araw lang ang pinoclaim ni President. So, it will be management prerogative. Ang pakikiusapan lang natin sa mga managers, yung ating mga heads ng companies, if they can extend the same courtesy for the 3 days.
And along with the extended vaccination drive, all fully vaccinated adults may also start to receive their booster shots tomorrow. This covers individuals aged 18 and above who have received their second doses at least 6 months prior. Eligible vaccinees have the option of getting the same brand or a different one for their booster shot. Sinovac's jab is not yet recommended as a booster, except for those who have received it as their primary dose. Meanwhile, those who got Sputnik V and Janssen are discouraged from getting the same brand for their booster shots. The Health Department has ordered LGUs and local health units to bring expired vaccines over to DOH regional offices. Undersecretary Mir Nakabutahes said majority of the jabs are from AstraZeneca, which expired on November 30. Kabutahe added that the DOH will study if these expired vaccines can still be used.
Titingnan natin baka pwede pang magamit, aralin yung sa shelf life. Alam naman natin ng mga bakuna ngayon ay very short ang kanilang shelf life. So, like for instance, Pfizer, na initially yung kanyang November 30 na expiring, nag-extend sila ng 3 months. So, nag-grant naman because they presented stability data.
We're going to pause for a quick break, but we will be back with more stories after that. Stay with us here on One News. You are still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The government is ramping up efforts to isolate travelers from red list countries as part of precautionary measures against the Omicron COVID variant. JC Cosico with the full report.
The Philippines is now ramping up efforts to mitigate the impact of the possible entry of the Omicron variant. The Health Department is currently monitoring 64 Filipinos who arrived from countries eventually placed under the red list due to the highly mutated variant. The Bureau of Quarantine says the passengers were traced from arrivals 7 days before their countries of origin were red listed. All 64 are currently quarantined in different isolation facilities.
Dumating to within 7 days po before ibaba yung IATF protocols natin. Kasi during that time po, yung ibang affected country po na may Omicron is nasa green list pa po. So ngayon po, tinanggal na ang green list. So lahat po dadaan na po sa mandatory quarantine 3, 5, or 7 days na po.
Among those being monitored is a Filipino from South Africa, where the variant was first detected. The OFW is currently quarantined in Negros Occidental.
Wine-verify po namin yung report, sir. Wala naman po sign and symptoms na nag-a-appear po. So by tomorrow po, isa-swab siya ng LGU.
Aside from these 64 Filipinos, 3 foreigners from South Africa are also being closely monitored by health officials. These foreigners arrived in the country last November 25, a day before restrictions were placed.
During that time, there was no advisory yet against travelers coming from South Africa. They work here in Negros Occidental, consultants of a power firm, and they are fully vaccinated using our vaccines also dito from Negros Occidental. And after some time working here, they went back to South Africa para lang mag-bakasyon.
The foreigners are not manifesting any COVID-19 symptoms, but as a safety measure, their apartment where they are currently completing their quarantine has been placed under lockdown. The provincial government of Negros Occidental as well as the foreigners' employer assure the 3 were immediately isolated and were not able to interact with Filipinos. Tracing of the foreigners' close contacts is still ongoing. Amid these developments, the DOH clarifies the Omicron variant has not yet been detected in the country. The agency says they're still processing the next batch of samples to be submitted for whole genome sequencing. Despite this, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III assures the public that detection and isolation efforts shall be intensified. This as the government wants to keep the country's health system capacity from reaching the so-called red zone.
Anything that's beyond 70% is the red line, is the red zone. Okay, we don't want that to happen. Then number 2, we want to protect the vulnerable. Okay, we have to prepare the system for the worst case scenario. Okay, this is what we need to be mindful of.
For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
The Health Department reports 560 new COVID-19 cases on Thursday. This is the 9th straight day of new infections, clocking in below 1,000. 15,100 of the 2.83 million caseload are still active. The DOH says 6 duplicates were removed from the total count, 5 of which are recoveries. 40 people died of the virus overnight, bringing the death toll to 48,700. 32 cases previously tagged as recoveries have been reclassified as deaths after validation. Total recoveries are now at 2.76 million after 690 new survivors in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, the positivity rate has gone down to 1.7%. Let's now take a quick look at today's other top stories. The Education Department has added 28 NCR schools to the pilot run of in-person classes. The agency says these schools may begin conducting limited face-to-face classes beginning December 6. And come Monday, the Senate will conduct a hearing on the presence of Chinese vessels in the West Philippine Sea. The resolution was filed by presidential aspirant and Senator Panfilo Lacson Jr. And the United States has confirmed its first case of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. This new variant was detected in an infected patient from California who had returned from South Africa on November 22. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.